You can see, you know,
struggle to be seen, but I'm taking back my strength and the power to be free. But I learned to move forward, making room to grow, finding love and hope.
It really was influenced me a lot too, because I felt even though I had been a part of the civil rights movement, of the sit-ins on my college campus, um, I I was just a part of that. Having the experience with the encampment left me with a sense of empowerment that I really had the power to influence other people to tell our story.
Our whole focus was poverty, Appalachia, and civil rights. So we saw poverty and lived with the poverty in that week's experience.
But it wasn't until the encampment that I actually felt like that was my fight as well. Till I internalized it and realized that I wasn't just a witness to what was going on around me, that I actually could be an active player. And not just could be, but needed to be. It was at the encampment that I found that spark, that I found that kind of twist in my reality that indeed I needed to do something to try and make my mark and create change in the world.
It also opens your eyes to so many issues in the world that while you might have learned about them in school, you've never really seen firsthand. And it really gives you a deeper understanding of the ways in which our society needs to change, needs to fix itself.
Matthew East Spetter, a man from Holland. And thing I remember him is wearing short sleeve shirt and a big tattoo of numbers down his arm. And he never spoke of them, but he spoke of looking ahead, you know, and that things can be better, but you've got to make them better.
And I just found it to be the most exciting 6 weeks that I'd spent in my life, because it really had a bearing on everything I did and relationships that I had. Started out as a teacher, and I was very active in the teachers union in Los Angeles. And for 8 years, I was an officer of United Teachers Los Angeles. Got arrested for a teacher strike. So really the encampment just had a great impact on my life.
Growing up, this was the first time I got to talk about it with people and hear people's stories more directly. And people really shared with me what it was like to be targeted by racism. And that was huge for me. I needed that information so deeply. And what it did is it gave me, it was empowering. It gave me tools and the sense of power, that I had power with my privilege.
My first taste at actually applying myself to some kind of social justice was in the encampment. We went up to DC and sat down with the DOJ, and we had a focus group meeting that talked about the problems in our communities. And so everybody had different problems in their communities, and we all got to share that and try to advocate for something and feel like our voices were heard as like 16-year-olds.
Our charge was sit in this room and get together and figure it out and figure out how to work with each other. We know we're all from different places. I mean, this is what I remember believing, and I think I'm accurate in saying this, that we came from different religious backgrounds. We came from different layers of the socioeconomic strata. We came from different geographic areas, you know, so it was the beginning of saying, hey, you know, you've got to work it out if you want to get along in this world.
My experience there was very eye-opening, although I knew there was racism, but I think we experienced a lot of that in Barboursville, Kentucky. We were an interracial group in the middle of a hollow in Barboursville, Kentucky, and we got all kinds of pressures from threats, bomb threats, to harassments. And I know our leaders protected us a lot.
Welcome to all of you joining us for our celebration of the Encampment for Citizenship's 75th anniversary. My name is Deanna Mousseau. I am co-hosting today's program with board member Steve Davis, who will introduce himself shortly. I am a part of the Lord Bull Sioux tribe and the Oglala Sioux tribe. I attended the Encampment Summer Program in 2015 in Jackson, Mississippi, 2016 in Amherst, Massachusetts, and 2017 in Amherst as an intern. It is a privilege to be here today because the encampment community is very special to me. My EFC experience of learning about social justice, community organizing, and racial equity while incorporating the arts has led me into the community development work I am active in today. I'm sure you all have a similar appreciation for the encampment as I do. And we are so excited to share the positive impacts of our nation with all of you. Before we begin, I want to review a few Zoom housekeeping items and our agenda for today. Jesus Shavaria is EFC's program director who will be providing the technical support for us. If everyone can please mute themselves unless they're speaking, that will help with our sound quality. We also suggest turning up your sound volume to hear the songs and videos we will play. We encourage everybody to interact in the chat, so feel free to do so. We are here today to enjoy each other. If you have questions or comments, you can paste them in the chat and we will stick around after the program for Q&As. Our agenda is as follows. Ada Deer will give a welcoming. Jane Sapp will share why today's 75th is very special. We will get to view the alumni clip put together. Then some recent encampers will share how the encampment has impacted them. We will share a song created by encampers titled What Just Happened in America. Next, we will introduce our guest speaker, EFC alumni Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. Then we will finish watching the alumni clip. Following that, Margot will offer some acknowledgements, and we will close the program with a song titled I Wonder. Thanks again to all of you for being here today in support of the Encampment for Citizenship. Let us begin our celebration with Ada Deer's welcome. Ada Deer is a member of the Menominee tribe. She attended the encampment in New York in 1956 and has remained involved in the program, now serving on the board. She was the first Native American to earn a master's from the New York School of Social Work, now called Columbia University School of Social Work. Ada was the first woman to chair the Menominee tribe and the first woman to serve as Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs in the Clinton administration. She has been an advocate for tribal policy and has been a leader in Indigenous activism. Ada truly is one of a kind. I will now turn it over to Ada.
Thank you very much for that kind but too long introduction. I am honored and excited to welcome you all for the 75th anniversary. It was founded in 1946 by Alice Palliser, a civic leader, and Algernon D. Black, leader of the New York Society for Ethical Culture. Their vision and commitment for a better world has informed, involved, and inspired thousands of people. And as I listened to all the previous speakers, the spirit of the encampment just flowed through me, even at this time of many years later. So it's a powerful experience. It's a moving experience, and it's an enriching experience. It helps all who attend to get a better focus on their life and society, and they work hard to make a difference at every level. The encampment affects hearts, minds, and souls. You are in for a treat of a lifetime as the encampers explain to you, and you participate in the 75th anniversary. I know that Mrs. Politzer and Al, as we called them, Black, are out there, and they are eagerly anticipating and enjoying the results of their vision and commitment for a better world. So I'll stop because I think I'm out of time.
Thank you, Ada. First of all, you're never out of time, but I thank you so much for that, for your warm remarks. And thank you also for your passion, your history, your commitment to the encampment for all these years. We love you, Ada. Thank you.
Well, thank you too. Thank all of us together.
There should be a big cheer or something going on right now, but we'll come back to that. There we go. I love it. I love it. Hey, my name is Steve Davis. Hello, everybody. I am a proud board member of the Encampment for Citizenship. I am also the founder and CEO of the Institute for Human Relations, where we believe that if we can relate, anything is possible. Anything is possible. I spent the last 30 years or so working with young people as an educational administrator and as a football coach, both at the university and high school levels. In college, I was very fortunate to play football for Penn State University. You can see in the back there, and was able to play in both the Cotton and Sugar Bowl football classics. So,
bravo!
I'm very excited to be here. This is an exciting time here to co-host the 75th anniversary of the encampment with my friend Deanna Mousseau. And Deanna, this feels like game day. I think we're pumped up, we're ready to go. And to kick things off, we have Miss Jane Sapp, who's going to tell us exactly what is so special about the 75th anniversary of the Encampment for Citizenship. But before Jane goes, I want to say a little bit about Jane, if I could. And I'll begin by quoting Bernice Johnson Reagan of the three-time Grammy Award nominated group Sweet Honey and the Rock. Bernice said that Jane Sapp is a musical and cultural power. Her work in the field as a cultural organizer is only matched by what happens when she explodes on stage. Jane Wilborn Sapp, or Miss Jane, as students call her, is a soulful and highly regarded performer, songwriter, recording artist, and educator who engages with disenfranchised urban and rural communities in the United States and around the world. She's recorded 4 albums and has performed in concert halls, colleges, and community centers throughout the United States, as well as in Sweden, Canada, Senegal, and Mali, West Africa. As an educator, Jane helps the silence find their voices through the arts. She helps them tell their stories and captures their dreams and puts them to song. Miss Jane has helped so many encampers feel connected and discover in each other a new source of strength, possibilities, creativity, and beauty. Her community-based cultural development programs are the subject of 3 scholarly studies, as well as the hour-long documentary, Someone Sang for Me. The title of her most recent book, Let's Make a Better World, is a call to action that we can't afford to ignore right now. So it's a privilege at this time to present to you my friend, Miss Jane Sapp.
Thank you, Steve. I hope I can live up to all that you just said. But I have to say that I'm really, honored and excited about the encampment, and especially talking about what's special about the 75th anniversary of the encampment. When you think about it, 75 years of anything that, 75 years of anything that's lasted that long is really special. Age, 75 years, an organization, 75 years, your favorite, your family heirloom, 75 years. There's something about it all that is very special. And I think what is special about it is because that there have been some care, some support, and principles, and perseverance, and commitment. And that's what we see in the encampment in 75 years. It took a lot, especially for social justice organizations, to last 75 years. But here we are, 75 years later from the founding of the encampment. And at that time, the founders were looking at a world across troubled waters that that harbored hatred and fascism and authoritarianism and genocide. And to a certain extent, here we are. We're back in the U.S. and we're seeing some of these same echoes come back to us again. We're seeing the rise of hatred and, a sense that we might be slipping into fascism in this country, even though I thought I would never say that. But here I am saying it. But the other thing about, what gives me hope in all of this sort of real ugliness that's around us, and it's more than ugliness, right? It's dangerous. It's very dangerous. And I'm sure that the founders in 1946 saw the same kind of danger and felt that one way to mitigate against that was to have people come together to know each other, not as the other, not as the immigrant, not as the minority, not as a woman, not as, gay or lesbian or whatever, but to come and just really know each other and embrace each other's humanity, but to know each other's histories, to hear each other's stories, to live together, to work together, to, share 6 weeks together during that time, but also to envision a world together, to think about, what does democracy really look like if we had the opportunity to create that and we have this moment to live that democracy. I read a book by a South African freedom fighter whose name I can't think of right now. But in the book, he said, there was a quote that still sticks with me. He said, "I live in a world that does not yet exist." And so I think that part of that is what the encampment is doing. It gives young people an opportunity to live in that world that does not yet exist, but it is the world that we want to exist. So to have the opportunity to practice living in that world gave young people confidence to go forth and try to create that kind of world. I'm excited about the encampment and its work. I started off as program director, and now I'm education coordinator. And I believe that starting with young people is the place to start. And I know this is sort of like a cliche, yeah, but no, it's real. That if we can, plant the seeds of justice and democracy and equity into young people's lives, then we can think about creating that world that does not yet exist. We need the encampment. We need organizations like the Encampment in this world, because without the encampment and organizations like the Encampment in the world, we may not have a world. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to share what is so special about the 75th anniversary of the Encampment. And I'd like to, at this point, pass it on to another clip of our former and present encampers sharing their experiences. And thank you.
I learned about like all the different issues that were going on and how to pay attention to like what's going on in government and how things work and how things work to divide us and how we can work to reunite each other and help each other as human beings should.
The intensity of the whole thing. There's no words for how every day kind of shaped my thinking about the world and uncovered a lot of the baloney that I had been fed about the world, and solidarity just all through it.
So I've learned a lot about Mississippi history and the legacies of slavery, sharecropping, mass incarceration, convict leasing, a lot of the current issues that still face communities in Mississippi, as well as the culture and the language and the people of the Choctaw Nation.
I learned that we're not individuals living this privileged life, but we are part of a network that is woven and strengthened as we live and work together.
And one of our encampers was proactive and got Malcolm X to meet with us. And I'm not sure, I can't remember if he came to Fieldston to meet with us or if we went somewhere to meet him. I think he came up to Fieldston. I think most of us from that year developed a sense of empowerment. We felt we could do anything, and I think that helped us through our life.
I began to understand the extraordinary gift that I had been given by being exposed and working and living with people who didn't not just look like me, but think like me, people that came from different cultural backgrounds, people who had different values. That was vitally important to helping me become who I am as a leader, as a community member, as a family member. It made me more empathic.
I flew many states away from my house, and so when I arrived, it was something that was very special and it was something very different. The topics really were new to me because a lot of the topics were taught in school, but not to the extent and the depth of the encampment, the way the encampment taught and spoke about these topics like discrimination.
Finally, with the encampment, I just burst into a world of so many different people, so many different experiences, and it challenged the ways I had, kind of like the unconscious ways that were projected onto me in the growing up, even, and I loved it. And so I think it really did set the tone for the rest of my life.
The other thing about the encampment, I think it just anchored me again in commitment to equity and justice and deep friendships. And I really haven't changed very much. And I think I owe a lot of that to the encampment. Thank you.
The encampment made it happen. We built a democracy. We lived a democracy, and we talked about issues that are not talked about in schools, even less today than they were then.
Community and communion with other youth who came from other parts of the country, who are also in some way engaged with their own community. And they weren't just talking about what the latest, show was and or the latest fashion trends. They were actually talking about things that mattered to me.
The encampment has taught me the importance of community activism because I am very aware of the political climate nationwide. However, just being here made me realize I don't know the councilman who's representing me. like I don't know, like I don't know the people who are representing me and the people in my neighborhood, and my mother doesn't know, and there are a lot of people like in my neighborhood don't know. So like just like on the basic like local level, there are people speaking for us without us knowing who's actually speaking for us and without our actual input.
And I always remember Nanny Politzer saying, one person can do something. Don't be overwhelmed. One, if you see something, before it became a cliche, say, do something. I always had the encampment spirit as part of my motivation, or not my motivation, my way of acting, that if the room was silent and there had to be a protest, I did not feel inhibited, and I could hear the echoes from the encampment saying, somebody has to speak up.
And I remember going to Pierre, South Dakota to talk to the governor. That was like my first introduction to really a different side of politics and how people thought. So like now it all makes sense.
Recognized the word prejudice in a quite new way. And it gave me courage to step in every time I thought it was necessary for the rest of my life. I'm really grateful for it.
Our next part of the program is featuring some recent encampers. They will share how the Encampment for Citizenship has impacted them. We have Mariana, Jacqueline, Carter, and Casey. I will turn it over to them, beginning with Mariana.
So, hello everyone. I'm Mariana. I'm 17 and I'm from Brazil. And I was a 2021 alum. And I'll share a little bit about how the encampment has influenced me and has helped me a lot. So I would share my screen for a little bit. One moment. Is it okay? Is everyone seeing? Yes? Okay, so I'm really glad to be here today. As I said, I was part of the online program during this year, the 2021 program, and I'll share a little bit how the encampment has helped me and is still helping me throughout the whole action plan process. And yeah, so in July, I wasn't really sure that how I could impact my community. I wanted to do something, but actually I didn't know how to start, because I thought, oh, I should talk about something I'm passionate about at school, but I didn't know how to start. I'm a shy person sometimes. So the encampment has helped me throughout the whole presentation process, all that. They helped me realize that I could do more than I thought I could, and it has impacted me a lot. So after the program, I didn't know what I could do in my school, and the process helped me to realize that there was lack of sustainability education there, and I could do something about it because it's an issue that I care about and that I'm passionate about. So I decided to do an action plan based on sustainability, especially on composting. So we put a compost bin at school, and now I'll explain a little bit how we started the project. So the first part of my project was the Sustainability Week, in which we had a few lectures. I started with my first lecture explaining why the project started and why I decided to do something to change my community and to change especially my school community. So we had a few lectures about fashion, about a healthy diet, about compost bins, and about global warming. So there were all subjects related to sustainability and to action towards a sustainable community. And then during this week, we sent Google Forms in the WhatsApp groups from each class. It was a project based for 9th and 8th graders. So the students who were excited about the project, they would sign the Google form and they would be part of the workshop, which happened in the same week. And we did the whole process of putting food in the compost bin. So the food we collected, we had the help from a restaurant, which is nearby our school. So they're helping us with the food scraps. And we divided in 2 teams, and I explained how the process worked, and we chopped the food, and then we chopped the dead leaves we had to put on top of the food so it wouldn't produce any bad smell or something like that. And the last part was that we collected a few parts of compost that our school already had, and we watered the plants and we nurtured them, and yeah, we helped them with the help of the students. And it was really nice because right now it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing project. So every week when we meet and we gather to put food in our compost bins, the students bring more friends, and it's they are engaging more people, and like we don't have to talk about it because they are already doing it. And everything started with the encampment because last year I had an idea, but I didn't know how to start it. And the encampment has gave me the tools to start doing something to change the world. So that is a little bit about why I believe the encampment is such a helpful program, and why it can impact a lot of people worldwide. And yeah, I'm really glad I could talk about it on and on, but we are a little bit short on time. So if anybody has any questions, please, you can send to Jesus during the week, and I will be glad to answer if you have some. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana. Hello, everyone. My name is Joaquin Rodriguez. I'm from Oxnard, California, and I am a sophomore in high school. And I was able to be a part of the 2021 EFC program. Even though it was online, there was still a sense of community between the encampers. I was glad that I was able to meet people from around the country and even from around the world and learning about their experiences. Currently, I'm an intern at the Pesticide-Free Soil Project, which is an action plan that followed the encampment. We currently are trying to advocate for the abolition of pesticides and alternative methods based in Oxnard, since Oxnard is a big agricultural city known for their strawberries. And for the last couple of weeks, we have been volunteering at a community garden in Oxnard, and I've been learning about many different native plant species and also just seeing the garden grow and flourish without the use of pesticides. And I'm really grateful that I am a part of this community and able to not only better my knowledge, but also give some of my knowledge to other people. And I really appreciate that. The encampment has given me that opportunity to do that, and even given me the opportunity to be a part of the Pesticide-Free Soil Project, because now I feel that I'm more a part of my own community, that I'm like learning about just like really cool things that are happening and that I didn't know about before. And yeah, I would like to introduce Carter Patterson, another fellow 2021 encampment alum.
Thank you, Joaquin. I'm Carter Patterson. I was a 2020 and 2021 encampment alum now. And I'm a senior and I live in Harlem, New York. And I think a big part of the encampment is the sense of community it creates, just like what Joaquin said. I think going from 2020 to 2021 virtually was a really big experience. And being able to see the many different perspectives that people had on their own communities and the way they wanted to impact it was really great to experience. And I was very glad I had the opportunity to interact with everyone. That's how I met Joaquin and Mariana. And we were able to have all these really deep conversations with each other and the whole group. And it was just an amazing experience. In my 2020 encampment, I worked with Hosea Shabazz and created a song, I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free. We covered it from Nina Simone and the Lighthouse Family. And we were able to create this piece to talk about gentrification and to highlight its impact in our communities. Even though we didn't live in the same community, we were still able to kind of have the same relation to the subject and its impact on us. So without further ado, here's the video. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things I should say them loud, say them clear, for the whole wide world to hear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart, remove all the bars that keep us apart. And I wish you could know how it feels to be me. Then you'd see and agree that every man should be free. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. Well, I'd soar to the sun and look down at the sea, and I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me, and I wish I could say all the things that I want to say them loud, say them clear, for the whole wide world to hear. Say them loud, say them clear, for the whole wide world to hear. Say them loud, say them clear, for the whole wide world to hear. what you should. One life with each other, sisters, brothers, one love, but we're not the same. We got to carry each other, carry each other. One love, one life, but we do what we should. Got to carry each other. We're not the same, not the same.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Carter, for that wonderful song. Hi, everybody. My name is Casey O'Hara. I attended the encampment in 2014 in Chicago. I am currently a history PhD student at the University of Pennsylvania. And I just wanted to give a brief chat about my experience. The encampment changed the trajectory of my life in every way possible. I found my voice there, and I met my role models there. The lessons I learned in social activism and community building helped me organize anti-racist campaigns at my high school, in my undergraduate work at Wesleyan University, in my master's research at Yale, and during my current doctoral studies at UPenn. I'm forever indebted to Ada Deer, Jane and Hubert Sapp, Steve Davis, Margot Gibney, and Michael Carter. I'm so blessed to be a part of the Encampment family. Thank you all. Now I'd like to pass it off to Michael Carter.
Thank you, Casey. Michael could not make it today, but thank you to all the fellow encampers for sharing your stories. But next we will hear a song that Michael helped produce with the encampers titled What Just Happened in America. If Jane Sapp could give some background on the song.
Ms. Sapp, you're muted.
As you know, we have arts workshops at the encampment, and this song that you're going to hear actually came out of the music workshop. And it was done in 2017. And when you think about the name of the song is What Just Happened in America. And so think 2017, what just happened in America? So the election of Donald Trump affected all of us, young people included, and feeling that, this was not something that was going to be a positive effect for them. And that actually, as one of them said, that to them, this said that the United States had rejected them. So, so you hear in the song and in the spoken word piece, you hear young people working out that what just happened in America and what 2017 meant to them.
What just happened in America? What just happened? I'm confused. It's just like in America, they set me up to lose. Been through all this pain, but I was told it's just a bruise. And all this ignorance, I'm hearing it, shouldn't just be excused. Born in a system that was just trying to break me. They set us up to fail, don't think it was a mistake. They always lie straight to our face, fill us with hate. They make it seem like it's my fault I'm in this place. Walking all over this blood and my tears. I don't understand why they want me to live in fear. Fighting for the rights America don't want to hear. I'm trying to paint you a picture so you can see it clear. They don't want to ever show respect to all my sisters and my brothers. While they always teach us we gotta go against each other. They love to see us struggle, love to see us in the gutter. So that's why we gotta change America with one another.
What just happened in America? America, America. What just happened in America? America, America.
America full of people that's trying to see us fail. I pray I go to heaven, cause I'm living here in hell. We shackled up in chains, but we not in jail. The way you get treated correctly is if your skin color is pale. The world moving fast like the time on the clock. On the news every day, someone died by a cop. Got homeless people living on every other block. A little boy can't even read, but he's holding around a Glock. Life is like a game, and I really wanna win. The people that I love are all locked down in the pen, trying to break the bands of slavery, but we already been. Boy trying to live right, cause his life is full of sin. Feel like I never win, they just want us to lose. In 2017, they don't go by the golden rule. The way they treat us is wrong, it's downright cruel. We the ones that built America, still working like mules.
Our people are dying in America, America, America. Our people are dying in America, America, America.
Trump is now in office and our country is still off it. Black people ain't being recognized and white folks won't stop it. We're in the end game now. Race and gender is out the coffin that's been buried in the roots of a country that's built for profit. Cops been killing us for centuries and it feels warranted. Taking them to court, they get probation, that's encouragement. America got a super predator as its commander-in-chief. I hope y'all reap what you sow and this time you'll know what we see.
Where is the truth in America? America, America. Where is the truth in America? America, America.
So much chaos, so much pain. Hurt people don't hurt people. It's always been those on the top trying to keep us down over and over again. I reject, I refuse to accept the hate you give me. I refuse to give it back. This country was never mine to begin with, but I refuse to be broken. I'm living with my soul intact.
We're gonna fight back in America, America, America. We're gonna fight back in America, America, America. We're gonna fight back in America, America, America. We're gonna fight back in America, America,
Wow, give it up. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Encampers, Miss Jane. Such a powerful and eye-opening song. You know, what just happened in America? I've been asking that question for several years now, and probably not alone, but we all have a responsibility to both ask and answer that question. Because really, in the end, that's what the encampment was built on. That was the purpose of the encampment. So again, thank you. Thank you, encampers. Thank you, Michael, Miss Jane, for that beautiful song. And now it is my honor to introduce Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. She is a 1957 alumni of the Encampment for Citizenship. Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton has served 15 terms as a Congresswoman for the District of Columbia and is the chair of the House Subcommittee on Highways and Transit. She's brought transformational change and economic development to the District of Columbia throughout her service in Congress. Before her congressional service, President Jimmy Carter appointed her to serve as the first woman to chair the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. She came to Congress as a national figure. She'd been a civil rights and feminist leader, a tenured law professor, a board member of 3 Fortune 500 companies. Congresswoman Norton had been named one of the 100 most important American women in one survey and one of the 100 most powerful women in Washington in another. After receiving her bachelor's degree from Antioch College in Ohio, she simultaneously earned her law degree and a master's degree in American Studies from Yale University. Yale Law School has awarded her the Citation of Merit for Outstanding Alumni, and Yale Graduate School of Arts and Sciences has awarded her the Wilbur Cross Medal for Outstanding Alumni, the highest award conferred by each on an alumni. The Congresswoman's work for full congressional voting representation and for full democracy for the people of the District of Columbia continues to be her lifelong struggle for universal human and civil rights. She's a third-generation Washingtonian and the mother of John Holmes Norton and Catherine Felicia Norton. So at this time, it is with great pride that I present one of my heroes, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton.
Thank you so much. And it is such a pleasure to be with you and to remember on your 75th anniversary that I too had a very fruitful summer with the Encampment for Citizenship. I think it is not too much to say that what I do in the Congress reflects the kind of exposure that the encampment gave me to government and to issues. So it is something I wouldn't miss. In fact, I was surprised to learn that the encampment was 75 years old and delighted to hear from those who are now participating. It says a great deal about the experience that so many continue to want to participate. And as I saw as I was waiting to go on, participate, that you have in fact drawn such talented participants. So I've just come on for a few minutes to say congratulations on 75 years and to say the next 75 are undoubtedly going to be as fruitful given what I have already seen from those who have spoken and performed. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It's just a pleasure to have you and appreciate you to take the time. And I don't know if you had a chance to see the picture that we found of you. I hope you're still smiling after you see that. But
no, I didn't, but I'll look for it.
Well, thank you so much. And now,
thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Now we're going to show the final alumni clip. So we're going to take that away, Jose.
We listened to the folks who were organizing the Farm Workers Union. We heard from the growers and what their issues were. We were exhausted, but that was perhaps, I never bought a pint of strawberries ever again without thinking about how much work and how little pay people got for giving me the privilege of being able to buy a pint of strawberries.
The encampment has taught me how to express my opinions to people who don't necessarily feel the same way without yelling or getting frustrated with them.
Even though we're not directly putting on the encampment hat in the day-to-day work that we do and screaming out encampment to the people that we're talking to, we are the embodiment of the encampment in the work that we do.
Managed both counties and cities and thoroughly enjoyed that. Brought an entrepreneurial spirit to the way government should be operated and made governments far less bureaucratic and more responsive, and more just in many ways. And I credit that to the encampment background.
I made a career in public service, first with the government of Puerto Rico, and then later with the US government, working mostly in civil rights issues.
That taught me how to take a subject and say, wow, this thing has many facets. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to look at it in different ways. And I'm not going to make my mind up based upon what we would now call a sound bite.
So I really took kind of the message from the encampment about like youth leadership. I took that to heart. I feel like when coming back from the encampment, I started a Gay Straight Alliance, which is still like outdated now, I feel like in society. So it's kind of like cute to think back, like only 5 years ago, we thought that was like revolutionary. I've worked for access programs such as TRIO, Student Support Services for low-income first generation and students with disabilities. I've worked at a Pride Center for the past year.
I was very impressed by the fact that a Black professor came and told us his work and his contribution to the Supreme Court decision. And I thought to myself, now here's this professor talking to us as young students, and he's using his expertise to help his people. I ended up being the first woman chair of my tribe, the Menominee tribe, the first woman assistant secretary of Indian Affairs in the Department of Interior in the Clinton administration. And so the encampment experience was a very foundational experience for me. There's a lot of power that you can use in those positions. So in one stroke of my pen, I doubled the number of federally recognized tribes in this country.
The other thing that we did in Great Falls, I'm sure it crosses over to all the different encampments, is get involved in local issues. I was on the environmental team, if you will, in Great Falls, and we cleaned up a part of the Missouri River.
And I've always loved this connection and this way of being with young people.
Of a community as a part of that toolkit, a group of people as like a source of power in a sense, I think is, yeah.
Helped equip me with some community development skills, which I went back to my university, which was in Queen's University in Kingston, and started a student volunteer bureau.
I noticed that there were a lack of resources from just my peers within the encampment. So like stuff I'm doing now is really providing that platform for people. So for example, I went back to school and I started the Multicultural Student Union, but like as an alum at Williston, I now kind of am really pushing the headmasters to, hire a diversity recruiter, to hire a person to work within admissions, and fixing curriculum and things of that nature. So I'm still fighting as usual.
I hope you all enjoyed watching that collection of encampment memories. Next, alumni and executive director Margot Gibney will share some acknowledgements. Margot's dedication to the EFC program has kept its success thriving. She first attended the program at the age of 14, and here she is today, leading the life-changing encampment. Her hard work keeps the spirit of EFC in all of our hearts. Thank you, Margot, for pouring all your love into the program and reaching so many young people. Margot consistently kept me in touch with the encampment, which has provided immense support in ways that were critical turning points for me, and that influence has shaped my life journey. You are greatly appreciated, Margot. I will now turn it over to you.
Saying is thank you, Deanna, and I love my job in terms of the pleasure and joy that I get from watching young people grow and blossom. And Deanna certainly fits that bill. Deanna's stepped up this year. She was the MC at our First Nations series, and she just has been such an inspiration to me. And that's, and that's what keeps me going. So I'm just grateful to you, Deanna, for inspiring me and for all the young people. That's really what we're all here for, and such a gift. So I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's such a joy for me to see everybody and just see the beauty of the encampment. It's like, look around, press on the arrows, see your fellow encampers from many generations. Those of you that didn't go to the encampment but have been working with the encampment, you're honorary encampers and more, and we make this incredible community. You just look around this screen, it's awesome. From South Dakota to Midtown Manhattan to Massachusetts, Connecticut, Sweden, Brazil, here we are, all people wanting to work for social justice. And the thing about the encampment is it gives people an experience that they can internalize of the better world. So we know it's possible. We know it's possible. And now we're at this really crucial juncture in this country where democracy is more in some ways than it was during World War II. And all of us need to join together and support young people and really actualize the power that we have as such an amazingly diverse, intergenerational, international community. So we're going to talk a little bit today about a new program that we're launching. Before I do, I just want to take a minute to thank some of the folks that make the encampment possible and that have and continue to do to make it possible. I want to thank all the people that made this program possible, our committee, our alumni outreach group, all of the board members, and I want to say a special word of thanks to Marion Silverbear, who has really gone above and beyond for many, many years. Marion started working with the encampment with me many years ago in 1987. So we took a break at different times, but through the years, Marion has just been incredible in all that she does. She'll just pick up another challenge. She does the job of 3 or 4 people, and the encampment would not be here without Marion's amazing dedication, creativity, humor, and just willing to get it done. So just want to give a special shout out to you, Marion. You're one of the people that really make it possible. So thank you. I want to also acknowledge Alice Lattice and Andrew Rabinowitz, who were on the first board of the encampment. and how wonderful that they're here with us today and have stayed involved. So Alice and Andrea, you might give a little wave. It's so wonderful to have you here. I want to thank the Encampment's board of directors, all of whom are really hardworking, dedicated people. I also want to say a special acknowledgement to Ruth Thaler Carter, who sparked the reestablishment effort by organizing an alumni reunion in 2011. And just like today, alums aren't particularly interested in reminiscing. They, it was a reunion, but it soon turned into a reestablishment effort. And Ruth got that ball rolling. And the first people that made that possible really had that same kind of faith and vision that Nanny Politzer and Al Black also had to re-establish the encampment with no funding and just a lot of dedication. I want to say a special thanks to the people that believed in it and did it, and many of whom are here today. And if I had time, I'd point everybody out, but we
I just would like to make one quick note. It's Taller, not Thaler.
Okay.
But thank you. One of my most important achievements of my entire life.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ruth. And
I also want to point out that the acknowledgements are in the tribute book, so you can look there if we haven't had time to mention your name.
Thank you, Marion. And that tribute book is something else. And please, we'll be sending it out. Please take a look. It really exudes the spirit of the encampment. And I hope you all, Marion worked really hard on it, and as did some others, but really she took the lead. And it's just a wonderful thing to see so many members of our community, some of whom are with us and some of whom aren't. But it's another way to represent the power of who we are. And we are the power. It's the people of the encampment. And I think both Al and Nanny would be really, really happy to see that what they started produced so many incredible people and other people that came along to join the mission. We also have sponsors of this event and of the tribute book, Jigsaw Productions, the Dolores Huerta Foundation, the Rabinowitz family, and I want to thank all of them and more, which are also in the tribute book. I want to again say a special acknowledgement for Jesus Salcido, who is our newest staff member and has just come on and really embraced the spirit and enthusiasm of the encampment and new ideas, new energy, new insights, and really we're so lucky to have you, Jesus. So thank you for joining us. So let's see, what have I forgotten? I may come back and add some more people, but right now I want to give two alums the opportunity to talk about a new initiative that is a way that we can mobilize the power of all of us, and a new structure, a new way for intergenerational work for social justice, and a new way that young people can be supported in times where, as others have said, during all that we're dealing with, children and youth are the hardest hit. And so we need to really step up and support them. So first, I'm going to turn it over to Madison Hernandez, an alum from 2016 and 2017. And she came up with a brilliant idea. And Madison has also been a part of the Youth Advisory Council, is currently a college student at Sonoma State University. And Madison, are you with us?
Yes, I am with you. I would love to show you all my face and have my camera on for you, but unfortunately, I just finished a rowing scrimmage, or not unfortunately. Fortunately, I am able to race and compete, but I am gross and sweaty, and I don't think you all would like to see that, and I'm not sure how stable my internet connection is. But I would still love to pitch this idea to you, this new series. So I would like to pitch and introduce you all to an alumni spotlight series. And the idea behind this project was as a way to connect our recent and past alums and to give people the opportunity to find out just more about the amazing community that we have built around the encampment, because I feel like we have such an amazing community. And I always feel like I hear stories about all the wonderful work that people are doing and individuals and groups, but I've never actually met and heard the stories that these people have and get to hear about the work they're doing and the journey that they've taken to do that. And I know that the recent alum have expressed interest in wanting resources to help with college applications and how to get through college and how to move through life and how to do the work. And I've always felt that you can't necessarily get those resources without having the connections first. So a great example I always like to think of is, I know Litsy's in this call, hi Litsy, is I always think about the connection that I saw between Litsy and Steve and how he helped her throughout her process of just everything being post-encampment, and that wonderful connection they had, and they made it intergen, I want to believe. So I just really want to expand upon this wonderful thing that the encampment already has with our intergenerational weekend and broaden that to be a year-long experience for people as a way to further our community work and getting to know people, and as a way to move forward with the work that people want to do.
Great. Thank you, Madison. And Madison is speaking to us from her, she was rowing crew this morning and in a meet. So she took a moment out in between rowing to come talk to us. So thank you, Madison.
Of course.
I want to now, I'm going to turn it over to Ronnie King, who's, I had the great pleasure of attending the 1971 encampment with. So Ronnie and I have been friends ever since. We both went to Great Falls in 1971, and Ronnie has stepped up numerous times throughout the years to help out with the encampment and volunteered to join Madison in launching this new initiative. So it's my great pleasure to introduce my good friend, Ronnie King.
Well, thank you so much, Margot. And great to be with all of you. This is so exciting. So my name is Ronnie King. As Margot said, I'm an alum of the 71 Montana encampment. I'm honored to be a participant in this celebration of what I think is one of the most fortifying youth development programs in the country, our Encampment for Citizenship. Over the past 6 months, via EFC's Decades gatherings on Zoom, alums from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2013 to this year's 2011 summer group came together to honor our amazing learning experience with the encampment. And during those gatherings, there was an expressed desire to find ways that we elders can assist our newest members in the execution of their encampment action plans, year-long action plans. And likewise, this summer, we've heard that encampers also expressed a desire for helpful input from elders. So to that end, the encampment is announcing the Alumni Spotlight Intergenerational Dialogue. These gatherings are a means for us to stay engaged with one another for support, education, and resources as projects are initiated. And our intent is that the topics will be driven by the youth, and that resource lists on topics will be provided for participants. And we hope to have a wish list posting, which can connect particular needs with resources. And these sessions are all going to be co-emceed by one youth and one adult. So the idea is that we'll come together intergenerationally and help the youth with whatever specific needs or problems they're encountering in executing their action plans, and also just a little bit of maybe storytelling and resource gathering information. We've heard over the course of this evening what a unique group we all are. So we must stick together in these times. So we're hoping that everyone will join us in this new endeavor. Madison and I are looking forward to gathering with you. And it's what everyone has been requesting of one another, and it's what is needed in these times. So our very first monthly dialogue is November 18th, and it will be at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're asking all alums who are interested in participating to enter your name and your contact info in the chat so we can prepare our first meet. Be sure to include your email and your cell phone number. And it's going to be November 18th, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you.
Thanks, Ronnie. And if anyone wants to join Ronnie and Madison and serve on the committee, that would be great. And what's started to happen, young people are taking more and more leadership within the organization. I see that Angel Mendez is here, who co-founded the Youth Advisory Council with Marquise Stewart. And that's what we're building towards, more and more youth participation in the organization itself. So I see more and more young people are here, so that's wonderful.
Let me interrupt you for a second. I'm sorry. Jesus sent me a correction. It's November 19th. Jesus, is that correct? Okay, so please mark it on your calendars, November 19th, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, Margot, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So yeah, and join the committee. I can tell you it's a joy to work with both Ronnie and Madison. So join them, and we're really hopeful about how this can build our community even stronger. Gratitude in Motion is another one of our sponsors. I just wanted to give them a mention. And I also, Steve Liebman has been here back and forth, and Steve has been another one like Marion, who has just been doing the work and showing up really since 1987. So Steve, if you're here, know that we love you, we appreciate you, and we really appreciate the many years of dedication you've given to the encampment. And now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Steve, are you there? Yes. You want to wave? Okay. We love you, Steve. Okay. I'm going to
love you too, and want to just acknowledge Margot as the most amazing person of keeping this hope alive. And she's a real genius. And thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been such a privilege for how many 35, 40 years to be working together, and just love everyone on this call so much, and take good care.
Thanks, Steve. It's such a pleasure to see you. Such a joy. So I'm going to turn it over to Evelin Aquino, one of our board members, an author, an organizer, an activist, and educator. Evelin, it's yours.
Thank you. It is my great honor to serve on this board. Truly, as you can see and feel, the passion of our leaders, the commitment of our leaders is very rare in today's day and age. I love the word you use, Ronnie, fortify. And that's what we do. Every call, every meeting. Jesus has been an amazing addition to the team and the staff of this organization. And I am beyond honored to be part of this board and to support this organization that continues to give life, that continues to breathe hope, that continues to strengthen the I don't want to say fight because I'm tired of fighting, but the movement toward justice and equity inspires me daily. Young people are leading us. Again, I will continue to give major kudos to Jesus for arriving the way that he did. And I'm incredibly thankful that our organization can support the professionals that are coming up, the young people that are moving into positions that they don't have to put aside what is real for them, being able to bring that passion into the organization. And to Margot and Jane and Michael, the way that you give has continued, and Marion, nonstop, and our board members, just like the example that Madison just showed us, we show up as best we can in between the very busy lives that we have, and it is a true honor. And I just really want to thank all of you for showing up today, because you continue to infuse your joy, your energy, your passion into this organization. And this organization, just so you know, runs and makes miracles. And with that said, I want to encourage us to know that we are all part of the solution of making this organization not only go the long haul, but to grow, and to support those that put that passion and commitment to have life-sustaining income, so that they can also, we have elders that are moving into retirement, needing to relax some and provide a way for the younger generation to take the lead, and that we are in this together. I want to really encourage us. It does not matter the amount that we can share to do our part and to make this organization continue to thrive and grow, that any giving that you feel like you're part of it, that your commitment matters. We can do this together. We need each other. This is how we make it happen, especially those of you that feel this so deeply, the experience and the impact, and that we continue to impact the younger generations to continue to do this work and be fierce leaders. I want to thank you so much for showing up today. Let us continue to be the change we want to see. Let us put our efforts forth to continue to grow this very rare organization, that of the diversity and the beautiful commitment that touches the heart and holds us not only in where it's fun, but where it's hard. That's the beauty that I kept hearing in the testimonies of, wow, I learned so much. Let us not stop learning. Let us not stop growing. That alumni spotlight that we're speaking of is going to be absolutely beautiful, because we need more spaces that are intergenerational. There are elders that have no young people in their lives, and there are young people that have no elders in their life. We need each other. The value and wisdom that we share fortifies all of us to continue in this movement forward toward equity and justice and democracy. All of us matter. I really, really love this organization, if you cannot tell. Even if I come crawling in, I do what I can. And I know that it impacts young people and supports elders in so many ways. It is our community. We're in this together, and we will continue to thrive and move forward and change the world to be what we really feel in our hearts to be right. Thank you. Thank you, Ada, for your modeling of what's possible. Margot, Marion, Jesus, Jane, Michael, and all the board members and all of you that continue to support the encampment. We look forward to seeing you soon. Please stay engaged in any way possible, and let's keep moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Evelin. See what a great board we have. And before we move into our final song and our closing, and we'll have time for those of you that want to hang around after, we can answer questions and have a dialogue or whatever. But I wanted to just take a moment and acknowledge Jane Sapp, who, you know, stepped up to the plate in 2013 when we were just starting out, and has just worked miracles. Jane brings spirit and love and dedication and determination. And we, you know, the encampment didn't come and doesn't still, as Evelin mentioned, with a budget. We're not funded by any institutions, you know, in any kind of consistent way. So we have to be really scrappy. And Jane took time out of everything she was doing since 2013 and has poured her heart and soul into the encampment. And because of that, the encampment's heart and soul is so much bigger and so much brighter. And Jane brought music into the encampment in a whole new way, and the arts, and a kind of deepening understanding, and in introducing young people to people in the civil rights movement that were right on the front lines. And so, you know, Jane is, the encampment would not be here without Jane. And I'm just always indebted to you, and I feel so honored that we get to work together, and honored for our friendship. And then Jane brought Michael, who unfortunately is not here right now, but Michael is just, you know, Jane is Michael's mentor, and Michael just came into the encampment 150%. And for those of us who know and love Michael, he then has carried that imprint that Jane first brought to us. So, you know, we are just so fortunate. We're so rich in people. You know, I have so much gratitude. So I'm going to turn it over to Jane for our closing song. And again, I'm so happy to see all of you, and thank you.
Thank you, Margot. You're pretty amazing yourself, you know.
This is another song that Jane and Michael worked with the young people on. It's their words, and Jane and Michael worked with them on the musical arrangements. And we had the opportunity to actually get it professionally recorded in Springfield, Mass. We got a small grant, thanks to John Preskel, who's here. And so anyway, I'm always moved by these songs, but these are the young people's words and musical arrangements by Michael and Jane.
I wonder how different it would I trust that our freedom will bust from the chains that corrupted us, because at the end, I know we will be victorious.
Beautiful song. Okay, so we will stick around for anyone who has questions. And thank you all again for joining us in the Encampment for Citizenship's 75th anniversary. Here's to another 75 years.